Top of the afternoon to you boys and girls. We're in the testing phases. We have the bone stock 461. We're going to run it with a 30-inch Oregon lightweight bar, which I actually conjured that up. There's no part number available for that particular length of bar in the lightweight choice at this point in time. I'm not exactly sure why, though. It's a really good length for these super lightweight saws that are coming out. It's a little short for a lot of applications on the West Coast, unfortunately, but in some situations or areas, it's actually a pretty sweet little operation. So, Smora makes a lightweight 30, but it's a Husqvarna mount, as far as I know. Like I said, the way with the things going nowadays, timber size, just the whole process, 30 inch is a good length, and somebody needs to actually get serious and make a lightweight. So there you go with that. That's my thought process there. Anyway, we have a MS462, fairly fresh out of the shop. You can see it sporting some bling poking out the back of the air cleaner cover. That's a K&N on it. We're in the testing phases there, I guess. Insano SS zip kit, about as far as a guy can go conceivably. Mine runs a little bit better, but it's mine, so that's the way it goes sometimes. And we watched these two saws run against each other back in November of 2017. There's a video in the collection if you go back far enough. Probably going to repost that in narrative form, shorten it up a little bit, I guess, and just tie it in with the sequence that we're doing now, because we're going to run the 462 against a formidable 461, I guess, technically, here shortly. But anyway, we're going to check the progression essentially. So we watched these two November 2017 in stock form. They ran about the same with a 32. I didn't cut the donut all the way off, cookie, whatever. But they're relatively close to the same. The 462 in stock form's a high winder situation. Bore and stroke is 52 by 34, which means it's 72.2 cc's. The 461 is 52 bore by 36 millimeter stroke for 76.45 cc's. So a little bit more displacement. You can tell when you're running these saws, air injection, so we have an air leak essentially metered, of course, factory metered, out of the box air leak, mix oil, mix oil, mix oil. It's got the worst tolerance I've ever seen of a production saw. This one came in at 3.75 out of the box. That's 37.5 10,000ths. So warming them up is kind of important, I guess, but having a super dense mix oil is really important in the process, and having one, because of the air leak, stratification process with raw air, the air leak, you need one that has good viscosity, and if you can find one with good film strength, that's good as well. There's only a handful out there that I know of at this point. But anyway, kind of digressed into some diatribe there, and we're going to have a bar change in the middle, bone stock down to the stop, so we're only going to be able to get somewhere in the mid-13s at the most, which the controller in the 462 cuts it out at, I think it's 13.56 is pretty much where it goes a little bit higher, but with the interrupted signal getting to the spark plug, it basically flatlines at about 13.56, I think is the most I've seen in those. So anyway, full comp, I think I forgot to mention, that's actually some Husqvarna chain I was digging around. I've got some different choices for that length of bar, so we're going to try some full comp Husqvarna chain. And nobody's helping me with the tack, unfortunately, so we're only going to be looking at high idle. So here we go. So we have the high-speed needle tuned down just a fuzz, and we're maxing out about 13,320. 10,000, 3,000. Here we go, bumbling. 13,320. There we go. So in Stockley, which is also known as sickly, in Stockley form, it's kind of like a nosebleed from my perspective. There's been a few questions about what kind of wood this is, and it's kind of a hybrid actually. It's some form of poplar, technically, which is the same genus as cottonwood, but not the same species. And this particular tree was hybridized with something else, which I think it might have been aspen, since I think that has the same genus as well. The cottonwood, poplar, and aspen all share the same genus, I believe, just different species. So anyway, it was some kind of an experimental project, and these trees were growing out in this field a long ways from any kind of water source whatsoever. And the bark is pretty mellow compared to like a cottonwood as far as the roughness of it. It's pretty fine, just like it is all the way down to the bud of the tree where it goes in the ground. And the other part of the equation, it's kind of white. It's kind of got a whitish color to it. I know it doesn't look kind of like that now, but it does. And this wood has been dead since last fall, so now we're talking, it's almost a year. I think that project was started in early October. So the wood's been down for quite a while, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. And it's not the typical random growing by the creek kind of wood. I've been fielding a few questions on what kind of wood it is and what I'm doing with stuff. So now my lovely bride, she likes to attend to the burn party in the back quite a bit. So I'm assuming that in the fall, when the fire restrictions are lifted, we'll be out in the back roasting some stuff. I think we saw 13,500. They usually tap out at 13,560. That's the highest I've seen in these at this point. Again, we're checking out the bling. And here we go. Okay, so definitely lightweight, the 462. We have kind of done some follow-up bench talk videos in this process, so you might want to check that out if you're interested in the internal workings. Definitely lightweight. Noticeable difference between the two. I'm thinking that it's several seconds faster at this point, but unfortunately with the engine design, that's about all you get. These saws actually really come alive. The 461s, 462s come alive somewhat. So we're going to run this same saw, and we're going to run it against my 461 that's going to put the hurt on this thing, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, thanks for watching this session. Have a blessed day wherever you might be on his green earth.